Carroll, bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
I don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never wanna let you go. 'Cause you started something, don't you see? That ever since we met you had a hold on me. It happens to be true. I only wanna be with you.
Good evening, I'm Phil Catchbolt and welcome to this week's episode of Ringing the Blues. On the show this week, we've got some fascinating insight between the relationship of our manager Matt Bloomfield and the chairman Rob Couhig. Luke Leahy pops by for a chinwag. Carl Simon will join us to talk about the Wycombe Wanderers Women's FA Cup tie, plus a general catch-up with how they're getting on as well. Plus, to round off an emotional show, we have an emotional feature with J F Cumming, who is this week's subject of Till Death Us Do Parts. But before all of that, let's head off to Mexico for the Liga Juan results, plus international ones too, with Uri.
We are ringing the blues from the city of Monterrey in the north of Mexico. Just for you to imagine and picture it, Monterrey could be like Manchester. It's a bit extreme, industrious, great music, and people are very northern, very straightforward and rough and a little bit blunt. So, greetings from Monterrey, it's me, Uri, and here are the results for League One. Blackpool 3, Stevenage 0, Cambridge 1, Shrewsbury 1, Carlisle 0, Leyton Orient 1, Lincoln City 0, Burton 1. Just 4 games because of international call-ups. And we also have relevant international results. Wales 4, Gibraltar 0, Northern Ireland 3, San Marino 0, Wales 2, Croatia 1. And Chairboys Spanish this week, the Never Won Joy Brigade. This is the name of a San Marino supporter groups. They were established in 2012 and they have never seen their team win a game. So that's why they are the Never Won Joy Brigade. So, never. In Spanish, nunca. Never, nunca. One, uno. Number one, número uno. Never one, nunca uno. Joy, júbilo. Joy, felicidad. Joy, júbilo o felicidad. Brigade, brigada. So, the Never Won Joy Brigade could be translated as la brigada que nunca ha tenido un júbilo. La brigada que nunca ha tenido un júbilo. The Never Won Joy Brigade. One day San Marino will beat one country and win their first match. So, back to England with my amigo Filippo Cachapollos. Until next week.
By the magic of technology, I'm joined by the Wycombe Wanderers chairman and manager, all on the same call. We can all see each other at the same time. What other club provides this sort of access? Gents, how are we doing?
Fantastic. It's always good when you're on a winning streak and things are good.
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, very good. Obviously, had a good week. Nice result at Stevenage. Some time to zoom out a little bit and oversee what we're doing in the processes and make sure we're ready to attack next week when it comes around.
Well, I must admit, this idea did not come from Wanderers TV. This idea came from a phone call that you had with Rob, the chairman. I understand one of the many phone calls you have each week, and it's about, I don't know, putting a bit of light on your relationship, I guess, because after Fleetwood, Matt, you were very effusive with your praise for Rob in terms of the double overnight stay, which contributed to the victory. And Rob, always very supportive of yourself in the media as well. So we thought, why not get you both on to see if we can see in the whites of your eyes and see if you both really mean it.
Yeah, I think Rob called last week. We had a really busy schedule with the late night at Portsmouth, and obviously it was really important for us to make sure we picked up as many points as possible. And I think that it was really important that the relationship is two ways. And I had to, feel like I said thank you after that result, because there is no doubt in my mind that the double night stay that we had leading up to the Fleetwood game, and not just the physical preparation that we had, but also the social element. Loads of these players joined, a few of the lads joined late, missed pre-season. We weren't able to have a pre-season trip as such and use that time for team bonding. So we've had to try and do it in different ways. So the time we had, sat on a coach on the way up or in the hotel, a couple of quizzes and extra meetings that we did, it just allows us to have that team bonding time. And I felt it was really, really important, irrespective of the result at Fleetwood. It was a really important 48 hours for us to be together. So, it's really appropriate that when thanks is due, that it's given, especially when Rob, decided to put his hand in his pocket and support us. We have several chats on the phone during the week. I had 45 minutes on the phone to Pete as well on the way to Stevenage on Tuesday. Exchanged emails today with Kevin as well. So just because there's a distance between the ownership and the management model doesn't mean that there's a distance between our relationship. So I felt like it was important to mention.
Rob, you're a busy guy. You've got your law practice in New Orleans. You've got not just the on-field stuff to worry about at Wycombe, just the off-field stuff as well. How many times do you speak to the gaffer in the week normally?
I try never to talk to him on game day, because that's his day in the office. And as he and I talked about early days, I'm liable to be too euphoric after a win and too pessimistic after a loss. So I try and talk with him the day before, maybe the day after. But what we try and talk about is never this week. It's the game plan. One of the things that has impressed me the most about Matt is his dedication to his craft. And by that, I mean, you see a lot of managers who talk a good game, but Matt actually has the discipline, which is what appeals to me. And I suspect, I know to Kevin and Pete a lot. He'll say what he wants to do. He'll explain to you why he wants to do it. He's prepared to fight for it and take responsibility. If you can do all four of those, it goes a long way. I keep on my desk at the house in the country his June memo to me of who he wanted on his squad. And he went out and got them. And he did it by the hardest. And that proved the world to me. And of course, Pete and I, a year ago at this time, people were saying, how'd y'all let Matt go? And Matt was a little upset with us as well. But he is terrific. And so, Phil, you asked the question, what's the relationship like? I don't know. We're not best friends. We're not contemporaries. We are good working partners, and that's how I see it. Pete describes it best. Matt's the chef. He gets to pick the ingredients that go into the meal, and we get to grade the meal. And so, so far, it's all aces.
Rob, when you started at Wycombe Wanderers, when you first got involved, by your own admission, didn't know anything about the game. You've come a long way since then, but I think it's worth remembering you'd only worked with one manager before. This is your only football club involvement. You'd only worked with one manager before. So how have you found the change of manager as well? Because obviously it's a huge relationship.
To be fair, remember, we have other businesses, and I'm probably unlike a lot of guys in that I see this as a business. We had a baseball business where I got to see conflicting managers. Gaz is always going to be a fan favorite and a favorite of mine, and I think he's got himself into a hornet's nest down there. But good on him, because he deserved the chance. Matt's a different cat, and so we approach things slightly differently. There is never the sort of, we got to do this. It's let's approach it this way. It is easier for us as owners in some ways to approach tomorrow knowing what it's going to bring, win or lose. And the thing that Matt and I talk about a lot is the results will take care of themselves. It is making sure we put into place the program. And he's done terrifically.
Matt, from your point of view, obviously your stint at Colchester, you'd have had a relationship with the owner there and the board there. You speak to a lot of your friends. Obviously, you're very well connected in the game, other managers at varying different levels. How do you describe the sort of the setup at Wycombe compared to, say, another Championship or League One club?
Yeah, I think that whilst I do try and speak to contemporaries and other managers and friends who are in the game and you have previous experience, I just feel like you have to be authentic to what you believe in. And I've always believed in having a thought, a method behind the madness. I've always felt like the only way to attack this job, if I was ever really fortunate enough to have a go, was to have a real thought out plan and to explain that plan to your seniors and to your owners, because it's a joint venture. I don't see it as my venture. It's a joint venture. We're all buying into what we believe in and how we believe we can take this club forward. And therefore, I feel like it needs everybody's input. Ultimately, it's my responsibility because I'm the guy who will be judged on the results. But we're doing what we believe wholeheartedly in. And I feel like in life and in football, if you do that, you can sleep comfortably knowing that you've given it everything in something you believe in. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. I'm not sure if Rob remembers, but when I first came back to take this job, he said, we'll speak often enough that it's never a surprise that, each other's name comes up on the phone, but we don't need to be doing it every minute of every day. So that's how we kind of set out to do it. And I hope that Rob knows that even though, he's not with us every single day in the training ground, that he gets enough feedback that knowing what's going on without feeling like he needs to go every nook and cranny of what's happening. So that's how we set up, and I believe that it started off on the right foot, and we're working extremely well together to what we both believe is the process that we want to take.
One of the good things probably is I don't consider myself an expert in the game. I'm becoming one now, but we've been able to rely on Pete and Kevin a little bit more this season to advise me and to help me understand what Matt's telling me. And so it's a unique relationship. I think a lot of guys get into this and think they're gonna buy a club and because they know football. We got into it because we wanted to try and do a different business model and win along the way. And we've been fortunate that in our other enterprises we've won there. So the decision of who your leaders are is what's really critical. And choosing Matt, and I give Pete a lot of the credit for this, was one of our first big positive moves.
You're mentioning Pete there. Obviously, Pete is in the country less than we certainly got used to him being around, certainly through the pandemic. What's Pete's sort of current role? What's his day-to-day involvement with you guys?
That's a good question. I know he and Matt talked. I think they even talked this morning, or yesterday. They talk frequently about players, contracts, long-range plans, tell me what it's going to cost, why it's going to cost that. And really, he helps me understand what he and Matt are talking about. And
Andrew Howard was a name that's been associated with Wycombe Wanderers for quite some time. He's still involved?
Yeah. I don't know when Matt talked to Andrew last. I talked to him this morning. He's a great sounding board for what we're trying to do. He understands management. He understands putting into place systems. You don't create as successful a company as he has without understanding it. Plus, he has a true love of the team and of Matt.
Matt, there's been a big change of strategy. We've seen it now, and we've seen it to great effect, especially on Saturday, using the loan market, lowering the age of the squad. When you got the job, I guess the pre-season or the off-season was when these conversations may have happened or taken place. But how did you sell that concept in to Rob? Because obviously it's very different to what has come before.
Yeah, I think I'm sure Rob saw how wholeheartedly I believed in what I was saying. I think that, when you believe in something like I did and the process we had to put in place, there was obviously lots of moving parts at that point. You had, players who were out of contract, and, a couple of loanees at that time. There was obviously the financial considerations as well of people coming, people leaving, and how you marry all that up. So there's so much that goes in the off season, and obviously the first little while of the off season, there was no signings coming in, and you're working all the hours God sends to try, and then a few came along and things were starting to build. So it's such a group effort. Pete has a massive input in that in terms of his experience working with the gaffer before and being over here as often as he was. And I speak to Andrew on a regular basis as well, because I know that, as Rob said, his leadership model and his experience, again, a love of the club, I find his help and his input really invaluable as well. So it's about me leaning on as many experienced people around me as I possibly can, because, I'm only a year into this job, and there's so much to learn, and so much to improve on. And I think that's the drive and the desire that we have, is to try and get better every single day. We speak about that a lot with the players. Win, lose or draw, we try and pick out the good bits and the bad bits. There's always going to be lots of both in any result, but you hope that the trend is for continual improvement. And luckily, recently, a few of those lads that joined in the summer have got themselves fitter and sharper. Some of the seniors that missed pre-season are now looking in real good fitness. So putting that all in the pot, you hope that it gels as quickly as possible. First couple of results of the season didn't go our way, but we didn't panic, and we hope that we can just keep that hunger and desire. We've got a really exciting week to look forward to when we get back after the international break. And the only thing that matters to me is the application and the output of the players. If they continue to do that, then hopefully we'll keep improving.
You mentioned the first 2 games of the season. What's that conversation like after a loss between the two of you? How does that conversation work?
I think, go ahead, Matt may remember it differently. I don't remember either of us saying, oh my God, what are we going to do? It was, well, things will turn around. We have the squad, we have the people, we have the right systems in place. These things happen. Kind of glad we got it out of the way before the season gets too deep. That is, however, Phil, when I started to get irritated with some of the fans, because if you listen to them, oh my God, the world's on fire, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't read social media, so I don't know what was and wasn't being said. All I know is that Rob presented a very calm front, of which I also did to the players. We knew that there was a lot of change, and a slow start was a slight danger of that, but. It's all part of it. There's going to be more bumps along the road, I'm sure. No football season is ever linear. No evolution is ever linear. So we got to anticipate that there's going to be plenty of peaks and troughs along the way. But we're obviously pleased with the way the group's coming together, and the way we approached that period was as calm as we possibly could, because we believed in what we were doing. And I don't think 1 or 2 results could affect your belief. If one result affected what you were doing, then you didn't believe in it enough in the first place.
Equally then, Rob, I'm guessing you weren't ringing up Matt on Saturday, blowing party poppers down the phone after we won 4-1 on Saturday either. You kept calm?
I didn't call him. My rule is I don't call after a win or a loss or a draw or a tie. We just, look, it's a long season. My mantra is the next game is always the most important, although all 46 games have equal importance. You got to keep plowing the field. You got to be committed, as Matt says, to your program. And we are unified in our commitment. We have high expectations. We don't kid ourselves about that. I know sometimes people get upset with me for my expectation level, but it is what it is. Because if you're not optimistic, you don't aim high, you got no chance. And so we'll do well. But as Matt says, there'll be some days when I probably won't want to answer the phone, but we will answer anyway.
Matt, the Couhig optimism is famous. You'd have known about it when you were a player, as a coach. How is Dick dealing with that? Does it add sort of expectation, or is it there? Do you think, actually, they've got a point? If you don't believe we're going to succeed, then why do we get out of bed in the morning? There's
2 things. One, if you don't believe you're going to succeed, then what's the point? And secondly, if you don't have a plan of how you want to succeed, then how are you going to get there? So that's the 2 things that we try and live by. We both believe in that. I believe that a Saturday is the output of your week's training. Rob believes that a court case is the output of the work that you do previously, and so that that works for us. And we're both unified in our belief that it's all about every single moment of every single day. And I know that sounds boring and repetitive, but for me, it's about making the most of the moments in the week, and hopefully a Saturday plays out. So no, for me, it's about keeping calm. We've got lots to come. Like I say, there's a real deep belief and desire amongst the group, but we're certainly not going to go around shouting from the rooftops. There's a lot of really, really good teams in League One, and loads of tough games to come. So we'll keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully it can keep moving us forward.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I am directing Nativity the Musical that's coming to Wycombe Swan this October the 28th. There's a matinee and evening performance, so please get there to come and support 100 local children, starring alongside professional adults. This is a huge community project like no other. Every ticket sold will help us provide the best possible care to patients and their loved ones across Buckinghamshire and its borders. Please come and support us, raising funds for Florence Nightingale Hospice charity. You can book tickets at fnhospice.org.uk/nativity tickets. So please come and join us for a bit of sparkle and shine in October. You can book tickets at fnhospice.org.uk/nativity tickets.
Still on the fence about college? Well, the possibilities are endless at Bucks College Group. At our open events, you can explore our inspiring campuses in Aylesbury, Wycombe and Amersham. Chat to our tutors, discover how to develop your future career and check out the facilities. And with over 40 subjects, we're not just any college, we're your college. Chat, explore and discover. Search Bucks College Group now.
I'd like to know, are you really ready for some super dynamite soul?
Well, are you? Every Tuesday and Saturday, we dig into the Funk and Soul archive to find the finest disco, soul, funk and jazz funk tunes and select some new independent releases to bring you 2 hours of sunshine-infused music that you probably didn't know you loved. So let in the sunshine, Tuesday nights from 10, remixed for Saturdays at 6.
The Funk and Soul Archive on Wycombe Sound. This is Wycombe Sound.
Luke, the training schedule means we can't do this live in the studio. Let's talk a bit about the schedule because obviously players have to have their downtime and rest. We speak on a Tuesday afternoon. Tomorrow off, right?
Tomorrow off, yeah. I think it's just to give time for the likes of Dale and TJ to come back and probably have a day off tomorrow, and then they'll be back training on Thursday. So we usually have. We haven't got a Tuesday game, then we usually have Thursday off. Yeah, so I forgot that. So yeah, it's a bit different this week, but I think it's just to give time for the lads to come back from international.
And we've just had the international break, and some of the players have had a bit of time away. Coming back today, is it always nice to see everybody?
Yeah, no, it is. It is nice to see everybody.
Everybody?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Yeah. So like the 4 or 5 days off that we had was very nice, and it was nice to spend time with our families. But it was always nice, the smiles coming back in and seeing everyone. Like I said, it's only been 4 or 5 days, but because we spend nearly every day with each other throughout the whole season, it's like. It's weird to have a few days off and not see everyone. You
say a few days off, spending time with the family. I just imagined you being in some sort of Forrest Gump style table tennis academy, honing your skills for when you come back here.
No, me and Scully went to table tennis academy over the weekend. He did, the way he played today. He was a joke today. It was just nice to spend time with family, and because what we go through in a season, they go through it as well. So it was nice just to have some downtime.
The bit of downtime, bit of rest as well for the bodies, but momentum going into this break has been really, really good. Is that maybe a negative of it, that you were probably desperate to keep that run going?
Yeah, maybe, but we could have said the same against Northampton just before the international break, and then we've gone on a pretty decent run after that first break. So hopefully we can continue that and continue the good form, and the individuals are in good form as well. So. Hopefully, we've got a lot of work to do before Saturday on the game at Peterborough, and hopefully we can, put the game plan to plan, and it pays off.
And do you keep abreast of what's going on in League One? There were 4 games, I think. Were you guys sort of keeping an eye on that too?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I went away, so it was like 5 o'clock, like where I was, for 3 o'clock here. So, yeah, I kept an eye on the results. Blackpool had a convincing result and a few of the draws. So, it was weird because I was away, but there was League One games going on, so it, like I said, it was a little bit weird. But yeah, glad to be back now. Glad to be back at it and normal life, and looking forward to Saturday.
Were you able to watch Wales Gibraltar the first time? I think in a senior international that 2 Wycombe Wanderers players have gone against each other.
I didn't watch it. I seen it on Twitter that Wycombe had posted about that. So credit to TJ's got. A lot of caps under his belt, but fair play to Joe Lowe, his first international cap, and I'm sure it'll be the first of many because he's playing next to me.
I was going to say, are you sort of making everyone look better? I sound better on this podcast
because of me. Yeah. I have that effect on people, I think. No, yeah, Joe's been brilliant since he's come in, and Dale Taylor's away and he's playing tonight, so there's a real good calibre of players, and it's a credit to Wycombe.
Can we tempt a Dale Taylor post-match interview out of you?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'll save it for when we're live.
So when we do this live, we got to put this in out there now so we can make you do this. The Henning Vane / Max Strick and the Dale Taylor. We're going to unveil these superb impressions.
Impressions.
Yeah.
Not superb. I'd just say impressions at the minute. I've got a lot to work on. But when's the next
We've
podcast?
got a lot of Tuesday games, so you're not going to be with us in the studio again for another month, which gives you loads of time when you're not playing table tennis or training, is to hone those impressions.
Yeah, no, I could try and fit someone else in as well. Probably.
Do you take requests?
No, I'd study people and then I'll go. I could do his impression or not. So, trying to think who. I mean, I have Max and Henning, but.
Fantastic. There's a little taster for us all. Looking forward to when you're back in the studio then. So, right, we'll let you go because I think there's a workshop going on here at the training ground after training as well.
Yeah.
We thought we'd grab you before because we thought we're not going to make you go to Wycombe on a Tuesday night when you've got the day off tomorrow. So we thought we'd do it pre-rect. But we look forward to seeing you on the pitch, obviously, between them. But I think it's a month. We'll get you back in the studio live. Yeah. Any questions for Luke from fans? You take any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Literally anything?
Well, not sure about literally anything, but...
Capital of Kenya.
Hi Siri, what's the capital of Kenya? I don't know, it might be Nairobi, is it?
Trust your instincts, Luke.
Yeah.
It's good. Luke Leahy there. I'm not sure if he answered that correctly or if it was actually Siri. Either way, get your questions in for him next time he's with us. When we haven't got a Tuesday game, Luke will join us in the studio because he loves podcasts and live radio. That's the sort of guy he is. He's having a great season at Wycombe Wanderers too. So, yeah, next time he's in the studio, let us know. We'll put it out on socials as well. Get your questions in for Luke because he loves to chat. And we will get him to do all of the impressions that he can do of the current squad and Henning Vane / Max Strick, which you heard a little snippet of, which I can tell you is absolutely glorious. Right then, women's football now. Wycombe Wanderers women, they're in full action now. They're playing down at Burnham's on Sunday. They've got the first team. They have the under-23s and also the under-18s. Lots of people getting involved. The women's game in general is on the way up, and so are Wycombe Wanderers women. And joining us on the line now is their manager, Carl Simon. How are you, Carl?
I'm well, thanks. Very well indeed. How are yourself?
Very good indeed. And looking at your form, it's 6 unbeaten now, isn't it? And going into the next round of the FA Cup, it's a good time to be involved with the Chairgirls.
Yeah, we've had a really good start to the season. It wouldn't appear so from the first game when we lost 4-1 away to Ascot. But since then, we've not lost. 2 draws and 4 straight wins. It's been good, yeah.
Tell us a bit more about this cup run because you lost to Ascot in the league. Am I right in saying that it was Ascot in the first round?
Yeah, we played Ascot in the second preliminary round, so that was a game that was interesting, actually, because obviously it was about 5 weeks before we had just lost to them 4-1. So, you know, everyone was expecting, I suppose, them to roll us over, but we actually went there, had a really good game, and we came away with the win into the next round.
Psychologically, that must be huge because a 4-1 defeat sounds quite crushing. And then to go there in a one-off in a cup game and then win on their turf, that must have been a huge psychological boost for everybody.
Ascot are the only team that in our league that we hadn't beaten since I came to the club. So it was a bit of a thorn in the side, a bit of a psychological block there with the players. And it was something that I always knew until we beat Ascot, we're not going to progress how we need to. So for us to win that game was absolutely massive for the players, and I think it's shone a little light on what we're doing here at Wycombe now, which was great.
It's another away tie against Dartford. They're at the same sort of level, aren't they, in terms of the pyramid? So you must be looking at this one and thinking, right, we can get through this.
They're in the same level, same tier. But top of their league, same as Ascot when we beat Ascot. Unbeaten, same as Ascot when we beat Ascot. So it's almost a carbon copy of what we've had to go up against. The difference being there is no psychological barrier between us and Dartford. They're pretty much unknown. So it's a tough challenge, not easy. I must stress that. It's going to be a really, really good game, but we're looking forward to it.
And in terms of the financial support, the FA are really getting behind this competition from the preliminaries onwards. And financially, this is quite a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we get decent money for it. Not to be sniffed at, and to be fair to the trust, when we beat Ascot on the same night, I got a call from Nigel who said that himself and Tony Hector had decided to issue bonuses to all the players and coaching staff that very night, which was, psychologically for the players, it made them feel really good, made them feel really wanted. So I have to say it was a very classy move by Nigel and Tony, well timed as well. But no, yeah, there's a bounty there as well for the next round. It goes up each round. So yeah, it's big prize money on offer.
So tell us about the game. It's away from home, but if people are listening to this thinking, I'd love to go and watch, what time's kickoff? Where is it? And how can people get there?
Well, it's at Dartford at the Princess Stadium, really nice ground. We do have a coach. We are taking one of the team coaches, the 49-seater, I think it is, a 48-seater. There are seats available. It's £10 a seat if you want to come down and come down there with us. We'd love as many supporters as possible. We've got quite a few joining us on the coach. I think we've got about 15 seats left. So, we're going there with a bit of a presence. I think last time, one of our players who played for Ascot played them last year, and they said Dartford had 500 supporters there. We were a partisan crowd, so as many, Wycombe supporters we could take down there, the better. More support we could take down, the better. So if anyone wants to come and join us, please do.
Well, there's Wycombe Wanderers fans far and wide. What time's kickoff down in Dartford?
Oh yeah, the kickoff's at 4 p.m. So they've moved it back a little bit, to ensure that we can play in the stadium pitch. So yeah, it's a 4 o'clock kickoff down at the Princess Stadium.
Fantastic. Well, Chairboys fans and Chairgirls fans as well, get behind the team on Sunday. It'll be across all the socials as well. If you can't make it, you'll be able to keep track of what's going on. Tell us about the league campaign, because we're a few games in now as well. But I started the conversation by saying, what a good run you're on, because it is a good run, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, we lost the first game in the league and we've not lost since. 2 draws and 2 wins. We're feeling good. Everyone in the league that we've played was beaten before last season, so we know what we're up against this year. Whereas, as you remember, when I met you first time, we were actually blind. We didn't know what the league was about, who was in it. We know everybody now. We know what we're facing, so we feel a lot more comfortable. Like I said, in terms of our home games, our attendance, our gate is growing. I think we had 110 last weekend. Yesterday actually, Sunday, which was a record for us. And considering that we're down at Burnham, and we're getting Wycombe supporters coming 10 miles away to come and watch us. It's really pleasing to see. On the family day recently, I had so many Wycombe supporters who said to us, if we were at Adams Park, they'd come and see us. And I've no doubt that at some point in the future, we'll be playing some games there, and we will get crowds of 500 plus. So, no, it's really good. The league's feeling nice at the moment. The players are enjoying it. We feel comfortable in the league. Promotion's always our objective. I know you're probably going to ask me that at some point. I'll always say I'll never get away from that. It is our objective. But in this league, it's been proven, history's shown that the team that finishes second, usually the next season goes up. And last season it was Ascot that finished second, and they're primed to go up. They're massive favourites. So our objective is, yes, we want to get promotion, but if we can get that second place as well, then we know that how this history has shaped it is that we'll have a good chance of going up the following year, which will be right on time. But if we can do it before, we'll take it.
The game just gone on Sunday, that was a Berks and Bucks Cup game, and he said there's a decent crowd there, and they weren't disappointed because it was an injury time winner, and everybody loves one of those, surely.
It's not good when you're in it, but when you get that injury time winner, everything was worth it. It's one of those ones. But really good game. Penn and Tyler, they came up with a really good game plan. They came to sit off and play us on a counter attack, which worked really well for them. And we just couldn't break them down. They defended for their lives. They've done really, really well. They got themselves a goal against the run of play, and then in some regards that helped us because now they had something to defend. Whereas before they were just they had nothing to lose, but now they had something to lose. And that changed the whole impetus of the game, sort of. Gave some jeopardy to their defending. And then all of a sudden we was able to score 2 cracking goals. The first one, brilliant cross by Maddie Armstrong for Honor Kentrell to score. And then last one, and literally I was counting out the penalty takers, and Captain Bobby Lynch swung a free kick in, and Maddie Armstrong again got on the end of it and poked it home. So yeah, brought the house down without a doubt.
Fantastic. And FA Cup, back to the FA Cup for this weekend. What's the structure of the competition? Because obviously WSL is now televised on the BBC, so people will be aware of the top level of the women's game. At what stage do they come in, and is it feasible? Is it possible that Wycombe Wanderers could get one of those teams if they progress, and how far do they need to get?
Oh, there's a bit to go yet. We're in the before we get into the first round proper, we're still in this is the third preliminary round. So I think the championship teams are in now. I think the next round, I think it goes into the FA Cup proper, and then WSL teams come in. If I'm correct, not quite sure on that one, but we'd have to win this round and maybe a couple more before you really get into the meat and gravy. The proper teams in there, but. It's always a dream, isn't it? I suppose anything can happen in the cup, and if we can get past this round, that's the first thing. If we can get past this game, and then we can look to the next one after that. But yeah, then the really teams that are semi-professional and professional start coming in, getting involved, and it becomes very, very difficult. But we definitely want to try and get past this round. That's our only objective, and we'll take it from there.
Well, something to aim for. Cup Magic and Wycombe Wanderers goes hand in hand. Hopefully it can be the same again for Wycombe Wanderers women. And we'll all be rooting for you on Sunday, Carl. 4:00 kickoff down in Dartford. Get down there, make some noise, and get behind the Chairgirls, because this is a big game. Cheers, Carl. All the best.
Cheers, mate.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Bill Turnbull, a broadcasting legend whose tireless campaigning for prostate cancer awareness left a lasting legacy for men's health in the UK. Bill's message was clear.
I really want you and your loved ones to take this simple online risk check now.
Let's honour Bill's legacy together. Let's get men across the UK to check their risk. Let's broadcast it like Bill. Check your risk. Share the risk checker. Save lives.
Mondays from 7.
Hey, it's Rebecca, and I'm here to let you know that you can catch me every single Monday with a brand new music show between 7 and 8 p.m. I'll be bringing you some of the latest and freshest sounds, and you do not want to miss it. So come and join me every Monday, 7 till 8 p.m. here on Wycombe Sound.
This is Wycombe Sound.
Till Death Us Do Part. We all know the feature now. It's like a marriage, isn't it? Your football club. You choose your club, and that's it for life. For richer, for poorer, for better, for worse. Till Death Us Do Part. And it's FA Cup draw has just happened. So there's only one Wycombe fan that sprang to mind for this episode, and that is J F Cumming, the author of the finest FA Cup book featuring Wycombe Wanderers ever written. James, how are you?
I'm all right. I still don't know why I just went with the initials. It seemed like a really good idea at the time.
I think, added gravitas. Definitely.
Yeah, that was the idea.
But it worked.
I'm not sure.
You're saved in my phone as JF Cumming, and will be forever so. That's just how it is. Now, I think you will understand this premise probably better than most, because you've been there through the dark times. You were there when we were non-league, in the fabulous non-league days. You've not only experienced an FA Cup run, the finest FA Cup run in our club's history, you wrote a book about it. So I feel that you get this whole kind of marriage scenario that we've invented on Ringing the Blues.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're owed a big cup run as well. We're absolutely owed a big cup run. I can feel it. I was just looking, and, do you know when we last won in the first round of the FA Cup?
It's about 4 years ago, isn't it?
Nah. Because when we played PNE, when we were massive in the Championship, it was the third round. The last time we won in the FA Cup first round was the 5th of November, 2017.
Oh, that's got to change, isn't it?
Solihull Moors. I've done my research. I don't mess about.
So when Bradford away came out the hat, what were your feelings?
Actually, I was really annoyed because good friend of mine, Nigel Busby, lives in Bradford. So all of our little gang of reprobates, they'll probably go into the game and having a good weekend at Nigel's. And I am booked at a swim meet with my daughter up in Aberdeen. So I was really annoyed. It's a tricky tie as well. So they've just got a new manager, haven't they, or a caretaker manager who's doing well.
Are we talking
Won
about the FA Cup
couple
or
of
the
games.
swim meet here? Which one?
Yeah, tricky. Or Aberdeen away, it's always tricky. Yeah, Bradford. So they sacked. Who is it? Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes. Yeah.
It was Mark Hughes. He's gone, and the caretaker manager. I just looked him up again, and they seem to have turned the corner with their caretaker manager. Doesn't always work with caretaker managers, does it? What we need is him to get the job full time. The players relax and down tools, and then that's us into the second round.
There we are, and on to glory. Let's get stuck into the feature. Something old. James, what's your favourite ever memory of supporting our great and wonderful Wycombe Wanderers?
They are great, so it makes it very difficult because there are so many. And I narrowed it down. I narrowed it down to 4. My first great experience was Bognor Regis away when we won the Isthmian League. That was fantastic. That was the best day of my life at that point. Torquay, for obvious reasons. That Torquay, I thought, could never really be surpassed. And I don't know if it ever will be in some ways, but then obviously the thrashing of Oxford at Wembley to go into the Championship is still kind of unbelievable. When I think of that little montage, that blow it, like all the fans, wherever they were, in COVID times, watching it, screaming. I was doing exactly the same. We were all doing it, and that just is still hard to believe. For me, by those amazing evenings and moments, I think for me it was always going to be Altrincham away in the FA Trophy. The first time we went to Wembley in 30 odd years, in 2 or 3 generations of fans' lives, and it's something I never thought I would see. And I was, what would I have been? I don't know, 17, 18 maybe. And I remember the week before, so we played them it was a 2-leg affair. Altrincham were like the big team in Manchester, the big team in the Gola League. They were massive. They were like non-league, one of the top teams in non-league, and have been for a long time. And Wycombe was still would only just, Martin and Neil was in, but Wycombe were just on the rise. We didn't know how far that was going to go, and it went further than we probably could have ever dreamed. And that like the first golden era of my life watching Wycombe. And we won 2-1 in the first leg, undeservedly so, as far as I can recall. I think we kind of scraped it, and we got away with one there to take a slender lead. But I remember having nightmares for 7 days waiting, and it was 7 days. I think it was 2 weekends in a row we played the games. And I remember every night waking up in a cold sweat, thinking we'd lost, but really realistic, and then thank God, realize it was just a dream. And then the next day, and it happened every single day, and then we got up there, and I remember just the sense of anticipation in the crowd. I mean, I know there's a few photos that float around, I think, that Paul Lewis took. I think it was Paul. They're definitely on the Chairboys on the net. They're amazing. The whole away end, the old terrace, just packed, absolutely packed with Wycombe fans. I remember the sense of excitement on the day, and Wycombe were brilliant that day. Whereas Altrincham really took us to town in the first leg at Wycombe. We annihilated them. We absolutely annihilated them, and it was just an amazing day. And I remember everyone running on the pitch, just total jubilation at the end. The disbelief that we were going to Wembley, and then getting on the coaches afterwards, and just And I was relatively young. There were people younger than me, lots of older folk, but just the sheer look of excitement in everyone's eyes, which is that shared experience that you get from football, but it's hard to replicate elsewhere.
Remind me of the score. Brilliant. That second leg, was it 4-1 or 4-0?
Oh no, I think it was 2-0, and we won 4-1 on aggregate.
Right.
So the greatest footballer of all time, Westy, towed one in, and I think Keith Scott got one. I think it was the two of them. The goals were in the second half, and we just knew we couldn't get beaten at that point.
I wasn't at the game. 2 things that spring to mind. We wore white shorts in the quarters, right?
We did.
And I think this was like that generation, that era. That was the dawning of the O'Neill glory years. Much like Torquay was the Gaz dawning for the taking us to the promised land. It was that day that it all started.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And the crowds there was a momentum had started. Martin O'Neill would come in, and I remember being at Wycombe and the crowds being like less than 1,000. And then they got a bit bigger and a bit bigger. And I think it was I always get them muddled up with Kettering or Kidderminster, who again were really big teams at the time. And we were playing one of them at home, and I think we got about, it was about 3,000 or 4,000 attendance. And to me, it was like, I didn't realise Wycombe, for me, it was unbelievable to see that many people in Wycombe. And, it was just, you could sense something was starting to happen. And that was the day. That was the day that kind of changed everything. It changed the expectations of the club, and the club kind of went back to not being a club that used to be big in the amateur day, but we're now a big non-league player again. And the belief after that, it really pushed on. Obviously, that team, they stayed together for 4 or 5 years, and most of them, they're the club legends now. They're just, it was, and rightly so, because it was life changing for so many of us. They give us so many happy memories.
There we go. Right, that's just something old. Let's bring it up to date now. Something new. Who's the player in the current squad that's your favourite?
Josh Gowan. If I was a manager, first name on the sheet. The first thing I look at on a Saturday when you're on Twitter or wherever, from lucky enough to be home and seeing the game, first thing you look is Josh playing. And if he is, I feel more confident. I mean, there are other brilliant players. I love Joe Lowe's brilliant. I love Max in goal. And like all this, the new youngsters who come through, they're really exciting. It's brilliant to see. But Josh is the first name I always look for on the list.
And also, something came up on my Facebook memories a couple of weeks ago. In fact, the week that he scored at Pompey, that week was 11 years after he scored his first goal for Wycombe.
Was it?
Yeah, home win against Torquay United. I think it was Gaz's first win of his managerial reign at Wycombe Wanderers. But yeah, it shows you. I know he's been away and played for other lesser clubs like Sunderland, etc. But he came back home. But yeah, it just he seems so young still. But 11 years since his first goal.
He always plays with that passion. As a frustrated footballer, you want to see in all your players. That's the first thing you want to see. But they're giving it everything. He's always giving it everything.
You said that he's the first name you look at on the team sheet. I have to warn you, he's on 4 yellow cards. He's got to get through, I think, the next 9 games without a yellow. Which, as much as we love him, I just don't think that's going to happen, is it?
No, I don't think so. No.
So we might be without him for a game.
So I'm thinking, what's the topping up process after that? So once he's served his time after the, if he gets one in the next 9 games.
He's then got 10 cards, but I think that comes up to 27 games, so that takes us into next year. And then he's got
deal with that then.
Then he's got another tightrope of until he's allowed another, I think, 5 after that until the end of the season. But that used to be the sort of conversation with Steve Brown, wasn't it? how many? Oh, he's on a tightrope. Oh no, he's not. He's been booked. No, I've got that out of the way nice and early. Steve Brown had his own office at the FA where they just take him in. He had his own desk. He was in there so often. Brilliant. Right then, so something new's Josh going. Let's go on to something borrowed. Now, this can either be your favourite ever loanee at Wycombe Wanderers or the favourite player or the player you wish that we'd have signed. No matter how controversial this could be, the player you wish Wycombe have signed or the best loanee that you've ever seen play for Wycombe.
I'm going to go for a loanee because I'm one of those fans. I am blissfully ignorant to the opposition. We could have been playing Barcelona in Messi's heyday. I really wouldn't have noticed him that much. Even if he scored a hat-trick, I don't really pay any attention to the opposition. I just know how our guys, if our guys are playing well or not. So I'm going to go with a loanee. And again, we've had some crackers, absolute crackers. I guess most people probably choose this one would be Alfie Mawson.
Yeah,
as the best. I'm assuming everyone says that. And even the manner in which he rocked up, it was like his first day of the season. No one had heard of him, but he turn up on the day or turn up the day. But I'm sure there's probably, I've exaggerated this legend in my head, but how many times you played on a Sunday morning and you're a bit hungover and so-and-so's, Jason's bringing a mate, or Bob. I don't know anyone called Bob, but who plays football. But Bob's bringing his mate. He's supposed to be quite good. It was like that. First day of the season, you're looking at the team sheet again. So it's not all I do is look at team sheets, but you think, who's that? He didn't play pre-season. No one knew who he was. Never heard of him, and it turned out to be like Bobby Moore. It's just.
It's an incredible story that we've told many times, but every time it's worth telling again because He literally joined the day before, met the team on the bus for the first time on the way to Newport on the opening day of the season, and was our player of the season. He won every single award, a clean sweep. Had it not been for that loan, he would have given up the game and gone to work with his dad on his fruit and veg stall in Ealing Market, which I still find to this day completely staggering.
It's unbelievable. And what a player he was. And think how close we were to signing him till he scored that ridiculous goal. You should have signed him on the way to the Luton game rather than waited to talk about it afterwards. and also then I love it when these brilliant players, they come back. Remember Steve Guppy coming back for a couple of cameo games to help out, and seeing him come back as well and just regally strolling around the pitch. That pass at Oxford to Farino scored. It's one of the best passes you ever see. It was just ridiculous. And to see him enjoying his football and enjoying being there as much as we enjoyed having him there. It was fantastic. I guess it was like, when I was saying the analogy about what people turn up, it was like Aaron Pierre's his mate, and he says, Aaron's bringing his mate. Apparently, he says he's all right. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, but I'd say him because obviously he was just so good, and it's just a shame. Kind of feel like he's been robbed. We've all been robbed of, a couple more years of being able to enjoy just watching him play football.
Yeah. It's pretty clear to everyone listening to this, you're quite an emotional guy when it comes to football. Where do you stand, in talking back about the current squad again now, about falling in love with players that aren't ours, falling in love with loanees? And I'm thinking about a young boy from West Ham here who's ripping it up alongside Josh in midfield.
You've got to try and keep your distance, but it's hard, isn't it? It is hard. I do obviously get emotional. I spend most of the time crying at the football. There's a lot of people only know me from going to the Torquay, and that guy who actually drove from Scotland to Torquay and spent probably about 78% of the game sat behind the stand crying, because my wife had said to me, "Don't you dare be the fat bloke that Sky Sports News zoom in on who's crying on the telly." And I said, I wouldn't do that. I was quite put out by it. But then I thought, there's a huge chance that this is going to be what's happening, because I'm not able to control it. So I literally tried not to watch much of the game. And then I thought, well, the best thing to do is if I just go and mind my own business and go and stand by the side. So I stood by the corner flag, so the cameras never go there. And I think it was when McClure kind of, it might have been the final goal, and the ball hoofed through, and he just did that lovely little lob over, and then they kind of ran to the corner where I'm trying to keep out of the way, and the whole team's there, and there's me and about two other people standing there, and people are texting, I can see you on the telly, just seen you on the telly. I think this is, the fates are conspiring for me to be that fat lad who's crying on the telly. You have to try and keep your distance from these lone players, because they can break your heart.
On to something blue. Now, this can be your best idea for a piece of merchandise that the club have yet to make or market, or your favourite ever piece of Wycombe Wanderers merchandise that you own. And knowing you, James, it's probably still in your possession.
Well, it's not merchandise, but the one that really upsets me, which should have been in my possession, or one of my best pals' possession, is the old manager's bench from Lokes Park, which we carried from the ground after the George Best game, the last game. We carried it all the way back up to Booker, where we both lived at the time. It's uphill, it's a long way, and it was a heavy bench. So not strictly merchandise, but I wish that was still in my possession. I can narrow it down to about 4 or 5 student houses at the bottom of Kitchener Road, Dashwood, Desborough Road, Plumer Road, that sort of area. But
so it's still out there, do you reckon?
It's still out there, unless it's rotted away. Merchandise. I don't like to talk about the book that I wrote, but I've got the long sleeved home shirt that I bought before I went away, and I wore it, religiously around the world, and I've still got that. And that was back in the day when football shirts were made in proper sizes. So I think I got an XL, and it's probably about a 10XL now, so I can still just about fit into it. So I don't really wear it, but I've got that, and I've got my Wycombe Wanderers League Champions scarf that came out just after we won at Bognor Regis away. So that's from about 1986 or something. They're my favourite things. But you know what it is? What I love about them is the memories that are attached to them. Like I just love all of that. And it's the same if you ever open up I don't have the programs. I went through a phase of getting programs when I was a little kid, and they're buried away somewhere. When you get them out, the smell of them just it's like it takes you back to a different place. It's brilliant. I love that. I love that. Those like the little triggers in your mind that it unlocks, and mainly happy memories come back.
Oh, well, going back to your shirt, anyone who's read your book, the things that shirt has seen and been through, the mind boggles.
It's been in the wash, don't worry.
I should hope so. Well, Mr. J F Cumming, James Cumming, it's been a real pleasure to chat to someone who is so emotionally attached to Wycombe Wanderers. It's if there was to be a wedding between you and the club, you'd be in floods of tears, sure.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing, but yeah. I even when I come back, because I don't get back home as much as I'd like now. When I do, I generally kind of hang back a little bit because I don't want to leave the ground, and it gets me every time. I get emotional every single time, so we wouldn't want it any other way.
And we should really plug the book because it just be very much.
You don't have to do that.
It's been a few years. There's a whole generation of fans that may not have heard of it.
I think it's seven years. So one of my daughters said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just going to talk to Phil Catchpole from Wycombe Wanderers. He's doing a thing for the podcast." He said, "Why is he asking you?" So I kind of jokingly said, "Oh, I'm a celebrity fan. I am." And she looked at me. She said, "You wrote a book 7 years ago," and just shook her head and just walked off. So, yeah.
You're very much a celebrity fan in my eyes, James. So, you know.
I was saying that very tongue-in-cheek, by the way.
Brilliant. Well, James, hopefully see you at Adams Park soon.
I hope to be there.
If you're listening to this, James will be the one hanging back 10 minutes after the final whistle, isn't he?
Yeah, crying. Don't worry about him. And this could be the year. This could be the year in the FA Cup. It's like 2017, the last first round FA Cup win. Our time is now.
I love James. Maybe you're the Wycombe Wanderers fan who hasn't read his book. It's on Amazon. It's called Small Town Dreams, and it is the perfect chronicle of Wycombe's run to the FA Cup semi-final. And as James says, it could be this year. Right, that's your lot for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Tuesday ahead of the game against Bolton Wanderers. We'll have all the action from the game against Peterborough this Saturday. That's on Wanderers TV too. In the meantime, have a great week and come on, you Blues.